Hey, welcome. This is another edition of the Lifestyle Show. We have a good show. This is a year of politics. This is a year of people finding out who is who. A year of getting your voice heard. A year of voting for the person that you feel will do the best job. Well, with that said, we have a beautiful guest on the show. She's running for Iowa City Council. Her name is Bergus. I feel so vindicated right now, if you only know how I feel. But she's on my show, and we're going to talk to her about what's going on with her on the platform. Welcome to the show, Lifestyle Show, Laura.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a wonderful smile. I like that. See, politicians should have a wonderful smile, and you have one, so that's a good thing. So, but it's something you know about what you're doing. And me, myself, I don't know, this question I want to ask you is what are the specific duties of a city council? You run the city council, and people don't know what a city council person does.
Sure.
So tell me, what do you do as a city council?
Yeah, so if I'm elected to Iowa City Council, I will be one of 7 people who are chosen by the residents of our community to govern, to help run the city. And so of those 7 members, one of them is chosen to be the mayor, who presides over the meetings. But the city council has a lot of different jobs. A lot of what they do is procedural, like kind of keeping Iowa City moving, making sure that the money is where it needs to be so that we have clean water, that our roads get fixed, that we have police and fire, and the library is running. Those are some of the roles that the city plays, and so the city council's job is to oversee all of that and to set policy and to set the strategic vision for our community.
So you have a say and opinion about what happens in this big city of Iowa City, huh?
Yeah, so I am from Iowa City. I was born here and I've lived here my entire life. So I do have some pretty strong feelings about Iowa City.
Another question I want to get at, I want to have is kind of important. It is what's more important for our city now? Building new homes and commercial spaces, or rehabbing our existing house and storefronts.
No, I don't know that one is necessarily more important than the other because we need both. Right? So Iowa City is growing. More and more people want to live here. And so it's important that we have places for them to live, places for them to work, places for them to shop. And the key is to strike a balance between fixing up what we already have, right? Because that tends to be better for the environment, right? We're not having to always build new, but to make sure that we're reusing and remodeling what we have. And that's true whether it's a single family home or an apartment building or a store or an industrial place. So I think the trick is to have a balance between those. And of course, Iowa City is the boundaries of the city itself, right, are set. They can expand. We can annex more ground outside of the city. But I think making sure that we're filling in the city as it is, so we're not sprawling too much and we really kind of have our community established.
Iowa City is growing, Coralville is growing, North Memphis is growing. I mean, everything is kind of growing into each other, you know. And so you have noticed a big increase in the population here in this city.
Yeah, we know that the community is growing, and you know some of the adjacent towns like North Liberty and Tiffin are some of the fastest growing in the whole state of Iowa. And so even if Iowa City itself isn't growing that fast, we know that our region is one of the fastest growing. And somebody might live in North Liberty but still come to Iowa City to shop, or vice versa, or might have they might work in Cedar Rapids but live in Iowa City. And so focusing on the region and not just those city limits that I was talking about is also really important.
Oh, wow. Because another point that I know you probably know, I mean, because I know it's an influx of a lot of different type of diversity in the South. I mean, when I was here back in the 90s, it was diverse, but now it seems like it's really getting to be diverse in this town. Not in this town, but just other places, North Liberty, whatever. So we do see that. You do see that since you've been living all your life and stuff, which is a good thing. Now we started to become almost like a city, you know, in a city, whatever. So it's good. So now another question I want to kind of touch on is, how do you feel about transportation options currently available to our city, and do you have enough options? If not, what would you do to increase those?
Yeah, so what I was just talking about with the community growing and also people living, working, shopping, playing in the region, right? It's not just within Iowa City. Transportation is critical, right? And it's not just the public transportation, so like the bus service, although that's a really important piece of it, but we have to look at how people move through our communities in all different forms, right? So we know that some people drive, and I hear, complaints about parking and traffic and that kind of thing. We know that a lot of people do use public transportation in terms of the city bus. And again, it's not just Iowa City, right? You've got Coralville and Johnson County Seats and CAN Bus all having to kind of work together for bus service. And then we've got systems like taxi cabs and Uber and Lyft. And we have people who ride their bicycles, we have people who walk to get to where they're going. And so we have to plan our community to really accommodate all of those. So to answer your question, Lyle, no, I don't think it's quite right yet, especially with how the population is growing. And I think we need to be looking at all options. I think, I've gotten a lot of questions about increasing the fixed route bus service, our bus that just runs every hour, every half hour. And I think we know that that's not really meeting the current needs. And
No, it's not. Ooh. I'm serious, you're right.
Yeah. And so right now, Iowa City and the adjacent cities, there's a regional transportation study that's going on to look at what might be more effective. And so I'm encouraged by that. And I think we can't just look at what's happened in the last few decades and say, oh, well, we tried that and it didn't work. We really have to be looking at where we are now.
How do you plan to involve residents in decision making in this town? How do you plan to do that?
A lot of people don't participate in city government from the voting.
I'm sorry. Hey, our style should, but you're right.
Right. So that's one way that people can participate, or some people can participate. And we know we also have residents who might not be eligible to vote even. So how do we engage people who live here, who work here, who visit here to participate, in ways that are meaningful for them and are going to make their lives better? So one thing that I would want to do is just improve the communication from the city government out to the people. All right, I think that's pretty easy. You're doing it right here, right? You're going to put this show on YouTube. Anybody who has internet access is going to be able to see it. So the city is starting to do more of that kind of thing, of video programming. They have a podcast now.
Oh, wow.
They're more active on Facebook and Twitter. But that's not where everybody is, right? And so making sure that we're having community meetings out where people are, right? I live on the southeast side of town, and so making government accessible there if people don't want to come to City Hall, I think is really important. And the council has started doing some of that, having listening posts out in the community, and I think that's really important.
Wow. Really, that's good, because that gives me a focus on, I need to be involved. I mean, we're going to do a talk show. It's a platform where people can come in and tell a story, and people can hear it and be encouraged by it and that type of thing, and hopefully want to do something. And so, I think that you made a good valid point with that, Now, now let me ask, I'm going off the script with this, but, okay, where's your favorite place to spend time in our town? What's your favorite place?
What time of year is it? Because that makes a big difference.
Okay, 3 different places. Summertime.
Okay, summertime, I would say either Weatherby Park or Terry Trueblood.
Really?
Are my two favorites.
I've heard of that, Terry Trueblood. Okay, It's a nice park.
Yeah, it's got a big lake, and so I like to take my daughter fishing.
Okay.
And so
You fish?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! A councilwoman fish. You fish.
Should we have done this fishing?
Yes, we should have done the fishing segment. We should have done it on our style show.
All right, next time.
Next time. Come on, let's show about fishing.
Yep.
Okay. Now what about the fall?
Well, that's a beautiful place there too, because there's some, there's the leaves start turning and that kind of thing. I think downtown in the fall though, it's just, I'm there every day, it's where I work, but also just seeing the city center when there are the big trees on campus and the leaves are starting to change, and you see just the people, right? The people as the seasons start to turn, and I would say that the fall.
Okay, the winter time.
Oh man, winter is a lot harder because then you've got to be indoors. I'm gonna go with an easy answer, which goes back to my childhood, and I would say
that wasn't too long ago.
Yeah. I'd go with the Natural History Museum.
Okay, I've never been there.
Okay, you should definitely go because they have all these like stuffed animals, and they have a giant sloth named Rusty.
They named
okay, have you heard of Rusty?
Oh,
we're gonna get you to the museum, Lyle, because you need to see Rusty.
Okay.
Ooh. Well, that's a beautiful place there too, because there's some, there's the leaves start turning, that kind of thing. I really like. I think downtown in the fall though. It's just I'm there every day. It's where I work, but also just like seeing the city center when there are the big trees on campus and the leaves are starting to change, and you see just like the people, right? The people as the seasons start to turn, and I would say that for fall.
Okay. The winter time. You gotta have winter.
Oh man,
Yeah,
winter is a lot harder because then you've got to be indoors. I'm gonna go with the easy answer, which goes back to my childhood, and I would say
that wasn't too long ago.
I'd go with the Natural History Museum.
Okay, I've never been there.
Okay, you should definitely go because they have all these like stuffed animals, and they have a giant sloth named Rusty.
They named
the sloth. Have you heard of Rusty?
Oh,
we're gonna get you to the museum, Lyle, because you need to see Rusty.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's on my do list.
He's kind of an Iowa City icon.
Is he really?
Okay,
is he between him or Herky? I don't know which one is going to be. That's gonna be a good one.
I'd go Rusty.
Rusty.
Ooh,
Okay. That's good. I like it. Because you true to what you stand for.
Yep.
So okay, Rusty. Okay, so one time we got to go to the. You are true. Yeah, you got to go to the History Museum. That's a place that we should visit.
Yep.
So everybody out there, History Museum in Iowa City.
Yep.
Okay, that's good. That's right downtown. Okay, I like that. Okay. Now let me ask you this. This is kind of a long question, so to speak. It said, okay, if someone came to you with a proposal to build a new piece of public infrastructure in our city, roads or bridges, how would you evaluate whether that project was worthy implementing? How would you evaluate that if you was city council person?
Yeah, so probably if it's going to be a piece of public infrastructure, like you said, like a road or a bridge, probably that recommendation is going to be coming from our city staff, right? And saying that, based on what we know about transportation, based on what we know about development, right? Like, so new houses or a new school or something happening in an area. So I would listen to their recommendations, right? They're kind of our experts who come forward with, okay, we need to improve this piece of infrastructure. And we also have boards and commissions who make recommendations to city council. So depending on the type of project that it was or the type of thing that it was, maybe there'd be a recommendation. If it was a big new development, there'd probably be something from planning and zoning saying, hey, we think it should be like this, and this type of street. And we also count on the property owner where something might be built, right? They might come in and say, well, I kind of want to put, these houses like this, so I think the road should go through this way. But really, I think the job of the city councilor is to listen to all of that and just try and, take in the information when it is presented and exercise good judgment to make a decision. So it's hard to say, sitting here now, there's obviously a lot of factors involved. What's the cost, right? Are there alternatives that would be less costly? Is it taking into account, limiting our impact on the environment, and is it responsible that way? Those are the kinds of things that I would have.
Do you think there's you think there's global warming? Do you think that there's global warming out there, that this environment is changing, that we are really messing up our environment with all things going on?
I do, and I think you have to look no further than the weather that we've had in Iowa City, even in the last couple of years. We've had some of the most severe winters, right? And we've had some really, really hot summers. We've had tremendous rainstorms. We have things like just, last weekend, these straight line winds that come through and take down trees.
Right.
So, yeah, I do.
Wow, you have a family. Okay.
Yeah.
And so as people don't know anything about you as a person, what do your family like to do? Do y'all like to go to movies?
Yeah, right now we like to run a city council campaign.
Okay, hey, that's the truth. I like it. That's good. That's good. Because is your daughter involved in this?
She's pretty supportive, yeah. So running for city council is something that I've wanted to do for a very, very long time.
Okay.
So when I was in high school,
You was in high school?
When I was in high school, my first job was working for a public access, well, government access station,
okay,
not KTV, but government channel.
Right, government channel, yes.
So Channel 4.
Yeah.
And I was one of the people behind the cameras. They had people at the cameras at the city council meetings at that time. So it was like the mid to late 1990s.
Yes.
And I videoed city council meetings with a crew of people for a number of years. So I sat through hundreds of hours of Iowa City council meetings. I got really fired up, Lyle. I loved it. I did. I loved it. I totally just like geeked out about it. And so I knew for a very long time that that was something that I wanted to do, is to serve that way, to be one of those people who was up on the dais.
Right, and doing the thing, huh?
Yeah.
Help the city, obviously, grow to something better.
Yeah. So, you know, I always told my daughter that I would wait to run for city council until she was out of the house.
Okay,
but she decided that it would be okay if I went for it sooner. And I mean, she's pretty politically active. You know, she's knocked doors with me.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Okay. And she probably spoke you up like it was nothing. But you have a very good personality. You're a very warming type person, very charming. I just appreciate our, sat down and talked to me about your views and what you stand for, and let the people know what you stand for too. I mean, so I have no doubt that you're going to get that seat. And you're an everyday person. You're a mom. I mean, unfortunately, your husband, he's probably doing the same thing, helping you out. Doing this thing, and then because he communications with it like that. So he was all about this type of work, I appreciate it though. But I want to kind of ask a little bit now. Towards the end of the show, we kind of do a little word association type thing, and so I kind of got some words, off script or whatever like that. So if I'm gonna ask you a word, now you're gonna have to, whatever comes to your mind. You don't got to think about it, you have to say it. Okay. You don't have, because the word associate, if I say blue, you say green, whatever.
Right.
Okay. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The first word I'm thinking about is transportation.
Bus.
Okay. Travel.
Plane.
Family.
Daughter.
Government.
Integrity.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, city council.
Me.
I like that. Okay, I can put that in there. Okay. Here's the last word that is kind of important to me. Homelessness.
Shelter house.
We touched on certain things about your platform, and we talked about regional transportation, which we talked a little bit about that. Focusing on good governance. Now, when I say focus on good governance, what do you talk about with that?
I'm really talking about the process of city council. And so I mentioned before, a lot of what city council does is kind of keeping the city on track, right? Like a lot of procedural things and making sure that things are reviewed and approved and continue forward. And so we know that a lot of what city council does is that type of thing. A lot of what city council does, it does unanimously. I mean, we're really fortunate that our council seems to be kind of headed in the same direction, which is fantastic for getting more done. Yeah. And so what I mean by good governance in particular is making sure that council is staying focused on policy and not micromanaging, like not getting into the weeds too much, because again, it's about governing, right? Like that body of elected officials with then staff whose job it is to carry out on the day-to-day. And so making sure that council's not getting too deep into the details, but that we have good, competent, trustworthy people who are carrying out.
And I think that you will be a really good choice with the person. And I know you're running on affordable housing. You're running on that platform.
Yeah. We know that Iowa City has an affordable housing crisis, right? And
why is that?
Well, I think it's a really desirable place to be, right? And so the market just keeps driving the cost of living up. But we also know that there aren't enough places that all kinds of people can afford. And I'm not not just talking about people who are the most impoverished or, you know, the most vulnerable, but all kinds of people, you know, people that maybe have good jobs still have a hard time finding a place that they can afford to live.
Right.
And so, you know, we know that that's a problem, and Iowa City's been working to address that for a while, and I think has some pretty creative solutions. But
what would you do? How would you feel?
Yeah.
What would you?
Well, I think, you know, from the city's view itself, you know, allocating money for those most vulnerable people, like for addressing homelessness in Iowa City, that's incredibly important.
Yes. Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes. Yeah, that is.
And I think my word association was shelter house, right?
Yes.
Because I think about some of the creative things that they're doing. You know, they have adopted or implemented a housing first model that, you know, we're not going to say you have to meet all these benchmarks before you can have housing. We know that housing is required in order for you to succeed and meet some of those benchmarks. And so I think that's just been tremendously helpful in our community for some of the people who have the hardest time, you know, being housed or staying housed. And then for, you know, as far as just the affordability piece of it, increasing the supply of housing is important. And we're seeing some of that happen now downtown with some of the denser development. And so, you know, the hope would be that we got a lot of units coming online. Maybe that's going to relieve some of the pressure.
And I hope it can be affordable for people. That's the thing that when you get in the office, I hope that you can work on that affordability. We got nice units, because I know this town kind of cares for university students or that type of thing, but it's growing with everybody, people from all over all over the country is coming to Iowa City. And you know, so with that said, when you get into the office, that'd be something that I know you're going to work on, of course, you know, and sustainable growth that you run on that.
Yeah, so sustainable economically as well as environmentally. Right, we talked a little bit about climate change. We know that we need to be responsive to the environment, and that means doing the most we can with what we have, right? And we talked a little bit about like rehabilitating buildings and making sure that we're not just tearing down and building new, and preserving the history of our community is a big piece of that too. So being able to sustain, you know, structures that are affordable, but also are going to survive for the long term.
Oh, I believe that. Oh my, you're doing it. You nailed everything. Okay, so you're already on the city council meeting. You're already a member. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of the lifestyle show, and letting people know a little bit about you as a person and about what you stand for. And you know, everybody get out there and when you have your next meeting, you're welcome back to come on back on the show anytime. Okay, seriously. And I know you're going to do a good job with city council and stuff, so with that said, I appreciate that, and I know my producer's giving me the sign, and we only got about 2 minutes left. You tell me, look at this camera right here, I keep looking at that camera. That's Lord, this is some tricky type of stuff.
It is.
But anyway, thank you again, Laura, and you know, Laura running Iowa City Council person. That's what she's running for. And she's got her platform. She talked a little bit about regional transportation. She talked a little bit about affordable housing, a little bit about sustainable growth, a little about good governing. I mean, she nailed all of them. So, and without there, when it's time to come, you know who to vote for. You know who the right person is. You know who it is. I don't need to say who it is, because you already know. So, with that said, I want everybody to keep watching the Lifestyle Show. Keep sound profiling.